And we are live. Welcome everyone to our first Purify AMA session. Every week we'll be hosting a special guest that will chat together about important and relevant topics. And I hope it will be very insightful and fun, first of all. This week we got not one, but two special guests, Dunstan and Rico Pang. Ladies and gentlemen, I will pass the mic to you, gents, shortly for a quick intros, just in a few seconds. But before that, I want to add that I've known them for quite some time now. It's mind-blowing how much influence and weight they have in crypto space, true OGs. That being said, they run Sanctum Ventures, an investment fund with a very, very long list of notable investments. And it was actually the first VC to participate in our private round. A bit of a proud moment for us. Not only that, when we talked about Purify concept, Dunstan liked our idea so much that we started working very closely together, and eventually he even became our chief strategy officer. Him and Rico and Sanctum in general are very valuable additions for Purify. I appreciate having you, both of you having you here and work you do with us at Purify. So please introduce yourselves and tell our community a bit of your impressive story.
Okay, so I should start first. Pretty much I am quite new into the crypto space. It's less than 4 years now. And I think I went full-time after meeting Dunstan. He's my mentor. And I've learned a lot from him over the years. And I'm still learning a lot. So I come from a corporate background. And when we came together to start Sanctum, we wanted to create a world with a better place and giving back the sovereign rights to people through the use of different technologies. And one of them is definitely the blockchain and creating trust as a service in the ecosystem. And along the way, we discovered many interesting projects and we got involved not just by investing, but also incubating, working with the core team and growing the project along the way. So I think that's our philosophy of investment. We are actually working very closely with founders, co-founders, and the core team and supporting them and guiding them along the way with Dunstan's experiences mainly and the strategies that he has developed for the project. And I will be more of an executor for those sort of things. So that's how we team up together for Sanctum.
Yeah, so a bit about myself. I'm 12 years in the Bitcoin space, early miner in the early Bitcoin miner. Was running quite a bit of the largest OTC trades around. Then later on focus on Ethereum when the ICO came out, and I was part of the early ICOs, like even in terms of engine, EOS, and so on. So I've been part of the major ICOs in the space. Growing tokens, growing communities, and making sure that value is being generated, especially throughout the token structure of the companies itself. So my main focus is on tokenomics, on making sure that tokens gain value, because I think that's what most startups, when they come into the crypto space, they don't understand that there's a way to do it. They just they just try to release a token and let's see what happens. But that's how to grow communities, how to work with VCs, how to work with like initial decentralized offering platforms and so on. So all these things all come together to how to work even with market makers and such. And these are usually information that most companies don't even know that exists. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, Dunstan is an OG in the space. I mean, he doesn't say that, but people who know him know the truth. He's been in the Bitcoin space since its pretty much inception, or maybe month 2 or month 3. Month 3. So yeah, imagine if you are in the Bitcoin space or in the crypto space since almost like month 3, which is almost like day 1 in our reality, like what you would accomplish over those years, how many cycles, how many cycles of bull and bear markets you've seen. You understand patterns, you understand trends, you've seen it all. You've went through a ton of scam projects and you successfully launched a ton of projects. So, I mean, again, emphasize on Dunstan being a part of the core team. And as again, Rico and Sanctum Ventures is major addition. So I'll take the mic back a little bit. Thanks, gentlemen. I'll take on and tell a bit of general information about Purify for those who are new to the project and just joined us. So we are newly launched project that focuses on compliance tools like AML and KYC, with a goal to protect DeFi players like DEXs, IDO platforms, lending protocols, farming protocols, and as well, again, of course, retail investors against dirty money risks while interacting with DeFi market. Essentially and literally acting as a filter of high risk assets, illicit funds, but very importantly, without scaring anyone with AML and KYC, the protocol maintains anonymity of users, without breaking the concept of decentralization. We are at Purify, we're very well positioned for institutional finance players, TradFi organizations, hedge fund operators, pension funds with trillions of dollars under management, and other entities from TradFi space who really have tremendous amount of interest to get into DeFi for obvious reasons, for very attractive returns, for convenient services. And for those, Purify could actually de-risk interacting with DeFi, particularly due to AML risks and compliance risks. It's a noble, it's a very long-term vision and a mission to bridge a gap between traditional finance and DeFi, and as a result, to facilitate true mass adoption. I don't want to drag too much of anyone's time. Let's just jump straight into what's everyone been waiting for. Let's talk about the updates that our investors and community want to hear. I'll start with tech, and I'll start with the product. I think that's the most important part for many here. As you know, we launched farming dashboard. It's important to mention that we will run the farming campaign only until our MVP is live, which we aim to have by end of this year, essentially last quarter of 2021. We created it originally designed it to incentivize our users to stake and get bonuses instead of buy and sell tokens for speculative reasons until the platform is actually built. I'm here to build trust with our community and convert our token holders into actual users of Purify core service and build a better and a safer future for everyone here in DeFi. Second important tech topic that we're working on internally is that our dev team and CTO are working very hard to release our beta version of the platform in the next 2 months. We aim to have functional beta integrated with KYC and AML providers to start actually perform services and provide core utility function for our UFI token. That's second important update to remember. Thirdly, in the nearest future, we'll be launching a long-awaited bridge between Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. I think that's what the community really wanted to hear from us for quite some time. Next big topic is we will be integrating on Matic Polygon. And I believe that's massive. I hope everyone's listening. I hope everyone who's listening understands the impact from that. Again, we're working closely with the team internally, and we want to integrate on Matic. I think that's going to be a massive news for us. Next thing you saw today in one of our recent posts that we have big and major announcements coming on crypto wallet integration. I think this is another big strategy for us. We'll be integrating with major crypto wallets. Today, we announced the integration with IME and their token line. Without really going into details, they have more than million of downloads. They have hundreds of thousands of active wallets downloaded both on Android and iOS. And what it means for us is when our token, our UFI token is integrated there, there will be a direct link within their wallet that will enable our users or their users to frictionlessly buy our tokens from a DEX. So through a wallet, seamless direct integration, which is again, a massive thing for us. Last but not least, from technical updates, Purify, as we announced many times, but maybe some of you might miss that, is a cross-chain protocol. The more layer ones we integrate, the better. And we are in talks for integrating on Solana, Kava, Conflux, Tezos, Polkadot, Casper Network, and a number of other layer one protocols. So the general idea here is the more protocols we integrate on, more communities we can tap into, and essentially, provide the core Purify service for their entire ecosystems. I think this is as well. It's very, very important and very big for us. I hope in general that you are all excited about all those technical updates, the same as I am. Next, without any delays or without making it too boring, I'll jump into overall partnerships and marketing. We are working on a number of DeFi partnerships with DEXs already ahead of time. Yes, DEXs really and yes, seriously look towards what we do, look towards the future where the liquidity they interact with is clean and it's verified. So it has a low AML risk score. It's not a myth. So it's on everyone's agenda right now. What's been going on the on the regulation front, all the SEC, PAT, new amendments, new regulation is on top of everyone's agenda. So it's just a matter of time. And I'm really glad to see that big names are already looking towards integrating Purify and making sure that their liquidity is verified and clean. For example, we're working on collaboration with 1inch and other well-known players in this space, other well-known DEXs, where we'll potentially open up a liquidity pool there. And when the protocol is built, we'll be working much closer. Other news is that other projects that we can initiate farming initiatives together is on top of my priority list as well for partnerships. It will enable us to increase organic buying interest for our UFI token and make our community of hodlers even bigger, which is again a great narrative again and a great strategy. Next section I'd like to cover is marketing. By plans within the marketing department, we have very big plans and a very busy pipeline. For instance, DEX tools, ads, co-promotion with our pipeline of partnerships, BSC scan trackers, advertising about our farming and staking. We're usually working around launching 2 PR articles every week. We will continue doing the AMA sessions, not just for the Purify community, but AMA sessions discussing important topics that are relevant to the space, to the time where we are right now, and to the core business of Purify with our partners. And not to forget that our KOLs, our influencers, and their activity helped us to launch on a global scale. And we'll definitely continue our collaboration. And also not to forget our ambassador program as well, that is going live. It's going live for our community. And again, to remind you, we're here to build the product with a very long-term vision. We're not here to do just marketing. So stay tuned for follow all the updates, and let's make a sustainable product together. Last but not least, from all the sections that we've covered already, I think what's being on top of everyone's mind is where and when we're going to list on centralized exchanges. I will keep them. I will keep the mystic around that topic. I cannot yet disclose or say who that will be yet, but believe me, it's a very reputable name with a good liquidity, and we will announce also very soon around that topic more details. I think we've covered most of the topics that were the most, I would say, interesting for all of our investors and community. And I think it was quite, quite specific and on point. I believe now we can ask the questions that we received from Twitter to Sanctum Ventures, essentially Rico and Dunstan. Jens, are you still with us? I hope I didn't get you too bored. Everyone's aligned on all the angles. So first question to Sanctum. We actually received a lot of questions, but we had to pick only 5. So I'll start. What is cooperation base for Purify and Sanctum? Is there something above an investment?
So I think, as usual, Sanctum, we do more than investments in most of the projects that we really believe in them. And as you mentioned, Dunstan really has very high expectation of Purify, and it has to do very well. So we are also contributing towards that in terms of our relationships and network and connecting the right, partners, business partners, especially. Exchanges that will be good and suitable for listing for Purify moving forward, and definitely we will be engaging quite a number of ecosystem partners to connect with you, Sasha, and your team. And moving forward, we will also got a lot of plans to do business development for Purify. A lot of the other projects that we invested are potentially clients to Purify. So besides bringing in investment from Sanctum Ventures, and of course on a very high level, Dunstan always give you a lot of advice on very high level strategies and decisions that you can always discuss with us, treat us as one of your team members moving forward as well.
I mean, again, I know all of that. I know way more than what we do on a daily basis, and how much value you already brought to Purify through, or discussing the strategy, whether the timing of the launch was right, what's going on, with price of Bitcoin, what's going on with the market. And I think with the strategy that we had for the launch, with the tokenomics that we mutually designed together with our strategic partners and advisors, we end up having a pretty successful launch after all.
Yeah.
And this is just step one. This is literally just step one. I mean, moving forward, just talking to a community, describing what we do really with Rico and Dunstan is that they're not just in Purify for the investment. I mean, first of all the engagements that we have is very long term. That's point number one. That's like a rule of thumb. That's important. So everyone's here for a very long ride not until people can exit or do their exits. No, until we see that Purify is really, really, really providing the value and providing that bridge for institutions. Dunstan and his network and his knowledge and experience is very valuable. And we consult on small things, on big things, on strategies or partnerships, on centralized listings as well. And we really do appreciate what you do here with us, guys. So this is a major thank you from all of our team and myself. Next question. Give us some examples of the best and famous projects you worked with, of course, except of Purify.
Yeah, so that would be Ethereum, EOS, Engine. Actually, I've been most of the major ICOs around, so it's a bit tough to give a list. Like I've even been involved in like NFT platforms itself, like Foundation. Been involved in OpenSea, so it's tough to figure out where I'm not in. That's
yeah, for real. But again, I wanted to ask that question for you to shine in front of our community, which is. but yeah,
if you take a very like a non-public role, I usually focus on like the growth of the community, growth of the token itself, and the strategies of the tokens, the tokenomics, and so on. So I don't like to put my names out there in the companies in which we are doing. Like recently we re-engaged Engine, so now the Engine ecosystem fund and the Engine ecosystem Engine started working with us also. Okay.
Nice. Well, except of me and probably the investors and some of the VCs that are listening to us, I hope the community is kind of pleased to hear all those big names that Dunstan is working with. So I think that's a well answered question. Thanks. Question to Rico. Rico, why did you choose Purify for investment?
I think the answer is pretty straightforward. Dunstan is very picky on projects. And we discussed about it, and he strongly, highly recommended it. And without second thoughts, I think, yeah, if Dunstan is onto it, why not? Yeah.
And for Dunstan, we talked about this a few months ago when we just started discussing the concept of Purify. I remember the discussion was around the core problem that Purify is resolving for DeFi space. And another point to add to this, why Dunstan liked the idea, is that we all in a space who are quite deep in the space, we understand that sooner or later, regulation is coming to DeFi, whether we like it or not, and it's inevitable. And what Purify is doing when we just started to work on the idea is to put down certain tools for companies and users to comply, but without going in the barbarian ways, like without disclosing private and sensitive information on chain, which is quite a unique feature that we're working on. And this is something that not many people yet understand, but the traction, honestly, the traction that we've been getting from institutional investors, institutional entities, hedge funds, pension funds, DeFi protocols as well, is a justification that this is a growing trend, that what we do right now is it's building those protocols ahead of time, and this will be a much needed set of tools for everyone to utilize in the very near future. Not to mention that Aave is already launched an institutional liquidity pool with KYC and AML in place. But the difference is acting as custody, but without going into too much details. This is again like a giant like Aave is launching a liquidity pool with KYC and AML in DeFi space. This sets the precedent, and this sets the start of the trend, where companies like us will just have to pave the way towards. Right. Next question. This is a good one. I like this. What are the main mistakes crypto startups always make in fundraising process?
Well, technically what they do is they generally, because they don't have access to network, so whatever funds that they could get, they take. But when they take from many of these syndicates and funds, right, these syndicates actually dump like whatever investments that they have, and they dump it on the hodlers, they dump it on the project itself. The token prices tank, the token dies actually before the token has chance to grow and have value and maturity. So it usually takes around 2 years for a token to gain a good growth cycle. For like even for a company to mature, right, it takes around 1 to 2 years. It doesn't take like 1 to 2 months. So if anybody has some stupid ideas about the fact that, hey, the token is going to pump on like day one, so fuck off. So yeah, so it's
not pumping too much.
Yeah.
You can pump a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah. So it's generally about getting the right investors, and also investors that are value investors. They don't just want to dump the tokens. They bring in other investors, they bring in other business partners, clients, and so on. And these are strategic value investors. But most startups don't have access to these. So they require partners like us, like Sanctum, for example, to bring them to the right places, to give them the right strategy. However, what I notice is, many of these startups, they receive some idea of advice and information from us, and then they believe that they know, and they start to move off into some sort of weird direction. And then after that, the token starts to have some problems, or the community gets pissed, and a lot of other compounded, complicated problems start coming in. And then after that, they're like, why?
Sorry. I mean, I'm laughing because, of course, this is not the case. This is not the case for Purify, but me being in a space, I mean, of course, not so long as you, but like for quite some time as well, and working with other crypto and blockchain projects, I constantly see that.
Yeah.
And what's been happening in DeFi, you said very right and very, correct. You raised very correct points, is that right now, a lot of projects are just there to raise whatever money or whatever they can, as much as they can get.
Yes.
And we from the beginning, we went away from that mentality and with that thinking. We decided to raise, enough that we know that's going to take us through the product development cycle. And we don't want to overpopulate the market with tokens.
Yeah.
We don't want to see, as an example, without naming names, but you've seen how many projects did after IDO, they did 50, 100, 150, 200x. Look at those projects right now. What happened to their price? They're like 90% down or 100% down. So of course, I mean, as attractive as it is to tell my friends and my business partners, hey, we did 200x, but like all the rest of the retail investors or just private sale investors did crazy returns, and the project couldn't benefit from that. And we went away from that. So the quality of money, let's call it, attracting smart money, is essential. We were at Purify, we were very fortunate to be in a position where we could say no to funds that we know are flippers,
Yep.
that wanted bigger tickets, that they wanted to flip with the first unlock. And we managed to generate and attract investments through our network from reputable names that we know that they are not flippers.
Yeah.
And we know that they are long-term partners to us, and they are providing us smart money, not just money. So this is very, very good point. And we're talking about this because we both know this, how important this is, but like probably good for the community to hear, or for whoever is listening to us. I think we've covered 4 questions right now. The last one that we have from the Twitter section is, what is the main idea behind Sanctum Ventures? How did you start your way? I mean, what is the main idea behind Starter Ventures being already covered by Rico in the intro, I believe, unless you want to add something here. Maybe you tell us how did you start? Whether it was just private investments, or then you wanted to focus on more institutional ones.
So internally, right, I've been getting a lot of private allocations. Like, say, for example, Purify is one of the private allocations. And like in the space, right, no matter what, most of the large deals actually come to me. So I get a lot of private access, but I decided, I can't handle it on my own. I need a team behind. I need a very strong team behind me. So I got Rico to come in as the CEO of Sanctum to help me run everything, including to employ the right people, to get the right talents in the company itself, so that we don't just invest now. We could have a bandwidth to incubate, to help with partnerships, to help with marketing, to help with community and so on within the companies that we invest in. So that it's not just funding that goes in. It's also expertise, it's also network that goes into these companies. We want to make sure that every token and every company that we invest in gains enough traction and enough maturity so that they could participate and become giants in the cryptocurrency space. And that's our main focus.
So not only that, what Danson shared with you, he has been very humble and very low profile over the years. He has trained many KOLs in the space personally. He doesn't say much, but he does. And he's doing this for the whole crypto ecosystem. So when I realized this vision of his, and that's something that he's been doing all the while before even meeting me, which is why the vision of Sanctum is actually, empowering global businesses. And we believe in the digital transformation that is going to happen anyway to any businesses globally. And many of them are still not even looking at this sector or whatever we are doing in this fintech, blockchain, crypto space. They are still doing a very conservative approach to their business. And there's so many disruptive technologies coming up every day, every month, and over the years. And this is the space that is witnessing a huge growth over the last 12 years. And many of them are still not waking up to it. So I think that we have this vision in our calling that we should be part of the agent of change and to be actively pursuing this promotion, education, awareness to more people and more businesses, and which is why we started with most of the family conglomerates where we call them family offices sometimes, and we started to help them to actually digitize the business and being changing some of the direction of the business, and that's how we started as a consulting firm. Later on, then we realized that the STO trend came about, and then later IDO trend came about, or whatever also call it nowadays. We have been along this journey together, and we realized that, look, there are so many companies that need our services, and we can't do it just the two of us. We need a team behind us. So we went on to start hiring talents and grooming them to able to support the investments that we are in as priority. But also, if we have the bandwidth, we can provide the services to some of the external projects. So I think that's what we were looking at. And ultimately, we are all about giving back to the society as well. So we have started some NGOs initiative within our own company I started together with Dunson. We actually created an event virtually over the pandemic in March this year, the Deep Tech Forum. We realized that most of the deep tech scientists, researchers, academics, inventors, they are not talking to each other over different industries. You know, from space industry, auto robotics, to green energy, to quantum computing and quantum genetics, to biotech, nanotechnologies, across all the deep tech. And we realize these technologies are so important towards building the infrastructure layer for smart cities in the future. So we wanted to bring together all the scientists, and because it's a not-for-profit event, we are funding ourselves. We don't need to give opportunity to any scammers or any people who want to come into the space to be part of the forum. So we handpick all the speakers together. We did due diligence on them. We also organized a pitch event so that the deep tech community can start, sharing new flows with our institutional investors around us. So that was a very rewarding event that we've learned a lot about the deep tech sector and collaboration to move forward with them and most of the major players globally. On the other hand, we are also looking to start the World Blockchain Center as an NGO as well, because we realize one major issue in the whole, not only deep tech, in our own blockchain space, we are very short of coders. Seriously, very short of coders. I'm not talking about quality here. I'm talking about quantity first. And if there's any small medium enterprises who wants to blockchain their business, they can't afford it. They can't find the talents that can work with them. And I think this is an issue that I address many times in many conferences when I speak. So to solve this problem, we came up with a strategy, and we are executing it this year. I've spoken to many leaders in the blockchain space, and they're all supportive of this initiative. So we'll be launching this initiative very soon. We'll be going to underdeveloped countries to work with orphans, single-parent children, and maybe disabled children, but they are age 15 and above, between the age of 15 to 20, where they have good command of English. And our coders, our network of hackers globally, we will name them, that will be our ambassadors in the future. That will be mentoring and training these kids to be qualified, certified, blockchain coders. They'll be learning all sorts of languages, working on different projects that we are incubating, working on along the industries, together with all the other leaders in the crypto space and the blockchain space that will be doing this initiative globally together. And this is a not-for-profit. It's nothing about getting a deal flow with any governments about blockchain tech projects. Nothing about that. This is all about giving back and bringing this, future talents out of poverty using this approach. So this is a impact project that we are building, and I think many of the friends are telling us this is fulfilling the United Nations SDGs as well. You guys should be sharing this over there. But look, it's not about fame or whatsoever. It's about getting things done first. So we are not in a rush to go out there and shout out, but we are here to actually start doing something on our own pace and delivering it and collecting data to show that this is actually working from every stages. And then we'll scale up the whole operation globally. So this is something that Sanctum will be focusing a lot, and this is what our team will be doing besides what we are doing at the moment. Yeah.
Amazing. We spoke about this with you briefly while having a beer. I like the idea. I like the idea, like the giving back concept. I'm gonna help you on my personal capacity as much as I can on that through our network, who we know globally. This is noble and a great thing for definitely, guys. I just realized that we got bombarded with questions here in a live chat, and again the rule that I need to follow, or at least I was asked to follow, is to answer to 5 questions that I pick. There are about 30 questions that passed through the initial screening that are not what is blockchain or, you know, basic stuff. I've answered about the centralized exchange listings. We answered about the partnerships with Sanctum. Tell me about the product of Purify. Do you understand now how would it work and how DEXs will be participating? That's a good question. So, very good question, actually. So we have 2 models, right? I mean, 2 business models. We will provide service to B2C users, retail users who are individual investors, who will get this digital indulgence in the form of KYC and AML analytics of their wallet without disclosing, again, private and sensitive information on chain. So again, maintaining anonymity. And that's prior to interacting with a specific liquidity pool or DEX that can essentially provide very generous returns in the form of APY, but in reality, really worsen or decrease the AML score, which is making it very high. Because again, I don't know if many people understand what's happening within the liquidity pool or within a DEX is essentially a mixing of coins. The coins that you send to a liquidity pool, and then when you unstake, they are not exactly the same. They're mixed with whatever the liquidity is within the liquidity pool. That's what's happening right now. That's what really attracted the negative attention from regulators. Now, when we talk about B2B business, let's say DEXs or IDO platforms or liquidity pool operators. So when the protocol will be built, and I hope we will be able to do all those integrations when we release the first beta version in the next few months, without waiting until the release of the MVP. So we will enable DEXs and the platforms to integrate our protocol. And when users will send liquidity, they will interact with our interim smart contract, which essentially will act as a filter. So if the person's risk score and his assets are getting a low AML risk score, through our third-party AML service providers that we will connect, then only the transaction will follow. So for the DEXs or for actual any protocol that integrates Purify will act as a filter, literally filtering all the high or gray or dirty or black coins. So that is the service that we will be providing for DEXs, and by that, those protocols will then be in a position to talk with regulators and say that they KYC potentially all of their users, even though they're anonymous. For them, it's important that they passed KYC, and secondly, which is even more important, that their assets within the liquidity pool or on the DEX are actually low risk. They have no illicit funds. They never touched a Tornado Cash or any other mixer. They never been on the dark net, etc., etc. I think I hope I covered that question. How we will work with DEXs. What? Just give me a second. I'm scrolling down through. How do you think DeFi needs compliance? Yes or no? Well, if we didn't think, or let's put it differently, if we weren't sure, 100% sure that regulators will find a way how to regulate DeFi protocols, even though they're called themselves just being smart contracts without an entity, we wouldn't do what we do at Purify. By having a hand on the pulse for the past few years and having experienced a successful use case of AML bot, the sister project of my business partners, knowing how many actual client cases come to us asking to help them with unblocking their funds because they got blocked on centralized exchanges when they wanted to convert their yield or their coins that they got in whatever DeFi protocols. Without compliance, I am a firm believer that a true mass adoption emerge between traditional finance world, where it's fiat world, banks and hedge funds, and all this Goldman Sachs and the rest of the guys won't be able to, to bridge, to merge with alternative finance, which is what we call DeFi. So without compliance tools, it's impossible. If we really want to see mass adoption, we need compliance, whether we like it or not. In what form we need compliance? This is what we're working on, without breaking decentralization and anonymity. That's important. Next question. I'll try to go quicker because I don't want to have too much of anyone's time, and as well as Dunstan, Rico, as well, your time as well. Oh, I like this one. For Sanctum, for you guys, which projects or ideas should be in trend in the next few months, and why do you think so?
Okay,
maybe not particularly the projects, but what are the the new trends that are coming up?
Okay, there's a lot of populistic trends coming up, like the NFTs, the NFT games itself. So we are focusing very much on NFT games, not NFTs themselves. So games provides NFTs into the ecosystems right now. Like we were in YGG, XY Finance is in. Now work closely at Animoca and so on. So which is one of the largest gaming crypto funds around, which actually they are the largest. So right now we are looking at these NFT game platforms. We are also very much focused on deep protocol tech, because NFTs on their own, right, are having a lot of problems trying to be fungible. Like just recently we have this guy. He happily go and bought his cyberpunk, and then he put it on his avatar itself, and then somebody else cut and paste and put. So his like $65,000 avatar is worthless because somebody cut and paste and put it on their own avatar itself, which is stupid.
Now I know at least one person who ever bought CryptoPunk NFT. There you go.
So I mean, so at the end of the day, your NFT is rendered worthless. It's not a non-fungible token. So Sanctum ourselves, we have invested, incubated, and grown a company out of this to make NFTs real fungible within all the layer 1 protocols itself. Called EDFX.
So you think NFT and all the forms of NFT, maybe ownership of real world assets, it's not just art, what we see right now. This is the next big trend, and gamification.
Yes. So right now, all the NFTs are fungible. You just need to cut and paste. You just need to change one pixel. You have a new NFT.
You can save as you see a nice picture over here, or wherever it is. So right click save as.
So to me, it's not a $65,000 thing. It's really just worthless in that sense. So technically, we have the protocol, we have the tech itself to make NFTs across all platforms like Matic, Ethereum, Polkadot, and so on. A real NFT. Yeah. So this is where we are looking at to grow and support the whole ecosystem. So now protocol layer tech is important. Like Purify is a strong protocol layer tech, you see. So that's why we invested. So right now, our next one will be EDFS, where it makes real NFTs out of all the protocols out there.
And not only that, we believe that the NFTs or any digital intellectual properties can be, having more values and can be used in different approach, such as leasing. So with this EDFS, encrypted decentralized file storage technology. We're looking at solving this problem as first, making NFT fungible first, but actually it's not solving only NFTs issues. It's actually all digital, format of documents and files. As long as being stored into operating systems, the tech is able to protect it and giving that right to the owner to manage it.
Yeah.
However they want it, they want to sell it, they want to delete it and say, I don't want the whole world to see this thing anyway. No one's going to see it anymore. They can do it. Yeah. So having a full life cycle authority over a digital asset
is important right now in the crypto space.
It's very important.
And it's not, we don't have it yet in the crypto space. So this
one, Right, good answer. Let me go to the next question. We've done 3 so far. I like this one. Where was it? Oh yeah. Do we see any competitors forward? And I mean, it's a multiple. It's a double question. So, and the second part of it, how you think we can ensure the confused centralized institutions to invest in this volatile crypto world? I like that. I give a credit to whoever wrote this. So answering the first part, yes. As much as we want to call ourselves, the only, well, I still think that we're the best in the strategy that we have, trying to be as optimistic as possible, as objective as possible. We see that there are companies who currently do AML analytics, AML checks, without naming names. They are also launching their own on-chain oracles, which could be considered our competitors. But a person who would call this a competition would probably not have a deep dive into what we really do. Because essentially, I mean, this is not just a KYC, it is not just AML analytics on who to work with or who don't. We act as a filter. So I know one another project that is launched by an AML service provider, quite reputable name. But the thing is, those AML service providers, when they launch projects like that, they only focus on their own database, their own AML database. So, for example, if we were to be exclusive with someone, that's who we would essentially become. Those projects who we could consider being competitors, they are very tied up with their parent company, who is performing successfully, but performing an AML analytics on chain for businesses worldwide by focusing on their own database. The difference between us and them is that Purify will connect as many AML service providers into the protocol as possible. So we're not just being, siloed in one database. We're providing much more comprehensive and detailed and essentially a better service for our clients. DEXs that that they want to integrate with Purify then are able to sleep well at night, knowing that the AML score of that wallet is actually verified through the ecosystem, and not just by one siloed AML service provider that could be considered illicit funds in one strict jurisdiction, but in other jurisdiction it could be considered like medium risk and could not, and then transaction will go through, and then you have a knock on your door from legal team. And the second part of that question, I'll try to be as quick as possible. How do you think we can ensure that the confused centralized institutions invest in a volatile crypto world? That's a very good one. So institutions already invest in what is considered to be already a known, and old cryptos. They invest in Bitcoin, they invest in Ethereum, because that's what the current regulation is agreed to consider as a utility tokens. But what's happening in the DeFi space for them is a no-go, because if they interact with DeFi, the funds that they have under management from their investors, then are subject to be questioned from regulators, because again, if you interact with a DeFi protocol, the clean funds that you send there, they're not exactly the same that you receive. Hence, there is a massive risk for institutions to participate in DeFi. With compliance, with protocols like Purify, we are eliminating a lot of that pain. And I'm not just saying hypothetically, we talk with institutions, we talk with investment funds from the ones who deal particularly with fiat, and everyone say that once you build the product, once you launch your product, we'll definitely be your clients, because we're going to filter all the incoming transactions going forward, and then when you receive it back. And this is major. This is what's going to enable institutionals to participate in our ecosystem. And last question, I think we're running out of time anyway. What I want to ask, I will avoid questions about meme tokens, to be honest with you. Partnerships. Let's talk about partnerships. The people are asking about what are the next partnerships we are working on. And something that I can disclose or can say confidently that will happen is that we will integrate on Casper, which is an enterprise blockchain for Western world, primarily for enterprise level clients. Ideology wise, we're very much aligned. So it's the lowest hanging fruit. We'll be integrating on Matic, Polygon. That will increase organic inflow of liquidity and the new users, we hope to believe, which is what the magic of integrating on Polygon and Matic does. The next big thing, I mentioned that we are in talks with a number of DEXs, and try to believe me that those are the top 10 DEXs that everyone's used to hear, in news. So those will be the next big partnerships, hoping to release those in the next week or two. Then what else? Crypto wallets. We just released IME with hundreds of thousands of users. Seamless integration will take a bit of time, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. But before that, we're working heavily on also other layer 1 projects, protocols, to integrate, potentially receive a grant for integration, potentially utilize the grant for additional benefits for our stakers, or potentially partner up with DeFi projects that we all know that could add value to us, who are already interested in utilizing Purify service, even ahead of time. But the lowest hanging fruit is to partner up with them, promote the relationship, and potentially add their tokens as additional rewards for our stakers. Who else we could say? And this is pretty much the end of our AMA session. The big names that we are personally working on, I really want to have integration on Solana. I think Solana, Casper Labs, Matic are the next big names. I want to integrate, and I want to us to integrate on Kava as well, on Conflux, on Polka, and those are the pipeline of my work, basically, of who I'm talking with. And the sooner we get this done, obviously, the better it will be for entire ecosystem. but those are the names that we currently are working with. So DeFi projects, exchange listings, bridge. I think these are the main topics we discussed today. And of course, we'll be doing this weekly AMA sessions with new guests. This is our first AMA session. We're not bloggers. We're just trying to be as, as spot on as possible and provide all the relevant information for our community and investors. And I think that's all. Dunstan, Rico, do you want to say any last words?
Yes,
anything?
Today is the first ever AMA by Dunstan post recovery. It's my second AMA, sort of, but it's his first as well. He just recovered from COVID, and we are suspecting it's a Delta variant. We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
What sort of thing do we get?
I didn't want to mention that in the beginning of the call, but yes, indeed. I mean, Dunstan and Rico, I mean, the level of engagement and relationship and mutual love that Sanctum and Purify has, that even just being recovered from COVID, I managed to drag them in our first AMA session. So thank you for that, gentlemen, and we will be in touch. And for the community, I think
stay tuned for more exciting announcements. I would say
there is a lot of big things are coming.
A lot of things that we already know is happening in the pipeline. I know his reason, and we should leave that to the CMO and the marketing team.
Exactly.
This announcement at a suitable timing. So I think timing is very important. And for those who are having been in this session today, you should know that it's the right time to enter Purify. It's a very potentially awesome project that we are very proud to be with and being one of the first private round investors. We wish you guys the very good health and stay safe and wherever you are, and yeah, keep in touch, and we look forward to talk to you guys soon.
Thanks Rico, thanks Dunstan. You guys have a wonderful day, and to our community, buy more and hold long. That's all I can say, because there is a lot of great things are coming. I'm just giving you hints, but exciting times ahead. Thanks everyone.
Not to disclose too much now. And
no, I cannot disclose.
Save it for later. Yeah. Good job.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Okay.